This thing that I have found is what I would call my gracious space. Hi folks, Jack Carlisle here, Gracious Spaces, and I'll never get tired of saying it. Here we are, high atop Old Town Orange, the place I call home, and also have my business, The Potting Shed by Carlisle. But I'm very fortunate to also have this new adventure in my life, Gracious Spaces podcast. And one thing I love about that is I can have folks on random in life, but this morning we have someone I'm very familiar with, a good friend of mine, a talented guy, husband, dad, all the above, Roy Bradley. Good morning, Roy Bradley.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Got a little nervous, right? When you started like, oh, we're on now. Okay, yeah.
Well,
and I like that you led with the husband and the dad thing. That's cool. I like that a lot.
Well, but you are, and I know that that's something that was very exciting to come to you in your life, you know?
Yeah.
Your lady, as you call her.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, if we're going to talk about gracious spaces too, I'm really clear that I'm in a new space, and I wouldn't be in this space if I hadn't worked on myself, and so I'm really proud of my family and my relationship. Today's my anniversary, actually.
No way.
My wedding anniversary, yeah.
That's awesome.
So
Happy anniversary.
so I'm really in that gratitude space and really grateful that I was able to just put a lot of the past behind and have an awesome relationship, partnership. And so.
Yeah, she's taking that journey with you, right?
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Good times and bad.
For sure. I mean, of course, you always look at you can't really judge other people's relationships, but you always look on the outside and you're like, man, we really have taken this on. And you could tell when other people haven't taken on their relationship. It's not to be bring it down right out of the gate, but you could see some people, they act as if their relationship or life just happens to them.
Yes.
And you could see the effects of that context on your relationship.
You are so right on, though. I get what you're saying. It's an awareness. Because you've brought that into your life. There are times, not that I'm perfect or my relationship is or anything like that, but there are times when Lewis and I will leave a situation and we both look at each other and we go, man, we are lucky.
Yeah, totally.
And that's when you know, you've worked on that. Wow.
Totally. Yeah.
Well, let's touch base on that a little bit. So did that occur going into your marriage, through your marriage?
Well, I mean... Okay, so today's my 4-year anniversary,
God, 4 years. Where did time go?
I know it's flying by.
Crazy.
But we dated for a couple years before that, and we were friends for a couple years before that, even. So, man. I mean, I wouldn't say I had workable relationships before this one,
Yeah.
So, but I do remember kind of an inception point or a moment when I really started to work on myself, and worked on my internal world, and then things really started to transform externally,
Yeah.
So, really started to take responsibility for my part in everything.
Yeah.
100% responsibility. And so my relationships transformed, my satisfaction with my career and my art transformed significantly.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't having it wasn't an awful life that I was having. I mean, feeding yourself with something that you love to do is always really incredible. That's like a gift in itself. But my relationships were not the best. Yeah. And then just starting that, people say oh, your personal development journey and all that stuff, and it's really hip to talk about all that stuff right now. But I think that, at least from what I could see right now, it seems that people are either focused on what's happening outside of them or what's happening on the inside of them. Yeah. And for me, my life just continues to grow and get better when I focus on what's happening on inside. Yeah. But not focus on what's happening on the inside, but in a context of service or taking care of the people in my life,
Well, it's funny, as you were going through those statements, I'm going, next solid question I want to ask. Tell me about your journey. And then I was in my head, I'm like, no, that's so trendy to say, Oh,
I mean,
so and then you said it. And I'm like, yeah, definitely. I'm glad I didn't ask that question.
Well, I mean, it's all there. It's so funny though, because I had a close friend tell me one time. He's like, this is one of my oldest friends, somebody who I think we met when we were 12, and I was in some like not workable relationship, like, you know, and I was just talking to him about it, and he's like, you know, you talk about yourself a lot. And I'm like, and his wife's like hitting him, like, shut up, like don't say that, like you can't like just say that. And he's like, no, he wants to hear this. And I'm like, okay.
Here it comes.
And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, you just talk about yourself a lot. It's always all about you. And I'm like,
wow.
And I'm like, okay, all right, keep talking. Yeah. And then and he's like, well, for one, it's hard because you're a musician and you like, whatever, you're playing this gig or this song was on a TV show or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's interesting to people. They want to know about that world because they don't get to do all that. He's like, but you know, it's always something. It's like whatever's happening in your relationship or some epiphany that you're having or whatever. And he wasn't necessarily saying it as like, that's wrong.
Right.
But he was more speaking to the world of like, if you can just listen more and be over there in other people's worlds.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not how he would put it, but that's how I interpreted it. And I saw that, well, while I was like super loving and really cared about people and wanted to make a difference for people, a lot of times the way I was landing was just all about me. And that was interesting. So it was interesting because a lot of times I was just excited about what I was doing.
Sure.
And so I think for a lot of people, they can interpret that as like, dude, this guy just loves to talk about himself. Right. And then exacerbated by like I was telling you at one point, I had a record company sending me to media training, teaching me to keep the conversation about me, you know? And so, I don't know where I'm going with that, except I started to really think to myself, like, I'm just going to really focus on listening more and seeing what's going on with other people, because that's where the difference is going to be. If I'm going to, because I really, even as a kid, I remember wanting to make a difference for other people.
So I love that your friend did that, and it just made you stop.
Yeah, it was great. He was like, you should tell people that when you meet strangers, you should tell them that you work at the gas station. And that's it.
I love that.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, that's cool. Oh, I'm not going to lie, but like, you know, just leave it kind of understated. And
well, you know, I get you, because my staff here at the shop, I like, don't call me boss. Don't tell them, let me get the owner. You know, I just want to be a part of what we are doing as a group and a team. So, you know, I like to keep that on the down low too. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
What is it like? The Tao Te Ching is like a great leader. Like, I can't remember. Basically, like the best leader, no one would even know that they were there.
Yeah.
And a great leader is people will speak about them for generations, or you know, like something like that.
Yeah. There's a lot to learn from that. We were just on a trip to Portland, and we went to this really cool restaurant, and the woman who greeted us, she sat us, she served our water. I mean, she did kind of everything. She came back, she took our order, and I like to observe what's going on and sort of guess whose role is what. And I said, I bet that's the owner over there, this other woman, older. And so she comes up and I said, I just really want to say you have a great staff. Everybody's been so attentive. You must be proud of what you own here. And she goes, oh, no, I'm not the owner. You know?
Yeah.
She said, that woman over there is. And it's the woman who was serving us, you know?
Totally, yeah.
I love that, you know? And so that goes along with what you're saying, I think.
Yeah, I do a lot of coaching too out in Nashville, and there are a lot of people, songwriters and performers that want to, you know, do something with it.
Yeah.
And one of the most common things that I find myself telling people, even when I do my teen music camp in Norway, I find myself talking a lot about shifting your context as an artist to one of service.
Yes.
And of course, it's a balance. You know, you don't want to just be like, hey, what do you guys want? I'll do that.
Yeah.
Because then there's got to be some kind of connection for you when you're performing it, you know?
Well, you're pulling from experience.
Yeah. Well,
right?
As a musician, it's so easy to be like so self-focused. Yeah. And as any kind of artist, you kind of have your own internal world that you are most comfortable in. I mean, staying with my wife's huge family in this house, I'm very aware that my comfort zone is to be alone, quiet, making songs, practicing something. Like most really talented musicians have sacrificed a lot of Saturday nights.
Yeah.
They're not going out, they're working on their craft. And, if you do that, you start to get a little bit self-centered. You're like, this music is my music. It's my story. It starts to be all about you. And I think you can fall into that trap of like, just
easy.
all like when you're performing, and we all know this, like we all think of like the diva singer or like the uptight musician who is like, treat me like royalty, like this whole
only green M&Ms.
Yeah. And there's something to be said for that. Like, look, you got to take care of yourself and make sure that you have the things that you need so that you can perform your art. But at the same time, you also want to acknowledge, look, the reason this is actually lifting people up, this is connecting people because we have this shared story.
Yeah.
So when I'm coaching people, I'm like, look, if you're going to make a song, you want to put it in a way, you have something to say, you want to say it in a way that other people can really access it and share that experience with you. To me, that's what the music does. That's really what lifts you up. Like
when you're writing, then the word sort of isolation comes to me. When you're you put yourself in a room, you're in your own head, you're doing your own thing. Has that shifted at all? And wanting to be with more people around you, or kind of collaborate and pull energy from others?
You were like talking exactly about what my experience is this weekend, because I'm in town here for a family. My wife's family has a yearly reunion thing, and the whole family's gathering and stuff. And I had just been on a plane and talking to people and stuff. And I'm like, what I really need right now is to kind of go to my own area and just listen to some music and really just like kind of find some, do my own thing, not interact with other people. Yeah. And just kind of like spend some time with, which I think a lot of people can relate with. Yeah. But then you have this huge family, like, oh, why is Ryan in the backyard alone? We're all going to play this huge board game and we're all seeing each other for this first time. And when you separate yourself and you go away, I could imagine that would send a message of like, there's something wrong.
They're creating their own narrative,
right? Because we all interpret it,
like,
why is he? And
almost rude,
right? And then I could see if you're in this situation, you're like, well, I should probably say yes, so they don't think that I'm upset, but I'm not. You're not. You're just having to work out your thing. Yeah. Whatever you're needing to deal with, and process. Navigating that is a whole thing too, and just being like, look, I'm comfortable saying no. Yeah. And I hope I express it enough that it's not anything. Everyone's always looking for what's wrong, right? It's like we live in this world where is there something wrong? Yes. Our caveman brains, our like primate brains are basically hardwired to look for threats all the time. Is there something wrong? Yeah. But then we live in this world, this modern world, where there's almost nothing wrong all the time. Yeah. It's almost like, since the threats are not happening outside, our internal computers just make the threats. When social or internal, there's something wrong with me. Yeah. Always there's this.
Let's say that you come across this. Even you said a while ago, you're on this plane traveling, right? And all of a sudden you're communicating with someone, you're having a good conversation, and they go down that threat path, that negative. They always want to turn the twist over that it's something bad is going to happen or has happened. Right. Do you find yourself helping to correct them and say, "Hey, well, think about it in this aspect"?
Oh man, what a hard like tightrope to walk, right? Because you're like, I am very clear that if somebody is talking to you with complete certainty, they're probably full of shit. It's like this cover of fear. Yeah. This is the truth of life, and this is how you should be. Like that, be suspicious of that person, because they might not even be aware that
they've convinced themselves.
Yeah, that it's this like front, this shield to keep them safe. However, like, look, I've discovered that you know, a lot of times this is the best situation when you're in. You're like, are you listening to what's going on inside of you? Have you put yourself in that other person's shoes? Like, you know, So when somebody like starts to go down this path, it's this choice. Like, okay, am I going to straight up go like, you know, they're like, let's say I'm on a plane or whatever, and some guy's like, yeah, but you know, women, they're always doing this thing and blah, blah, blah. And you want to be like, how's that working for you?
Right.
Which could be offensive.
Yes.
Like, yeah. Or like, you know, to them where they're like, what do you mean? How's that working for me? Are you like minimizing what, you know?
They see that as another threat.
Right. Exactly.
You know, you're challenging me.
Yeah.
And that's going to make them dig their heels
and
in.
I'm seriously going like, how is that context about women working for your relationships?
Yeah.
And I'm actually, you know, it's like the, you ever see those, I love Kung Fu movies.
Okay.
And sometimes there's like the Kung Fu master who's just like mean to the student, just like awful to them.
Yes.
But it's to get them to, it's like to push them to this transformative place. Or like, there's like the stories of like the Buddha, the pranking Buddha, you know, like who's trying to get people to wake up to the absurdity of all of it, you know?
But it's a challenge.
Yeah.
On purpose.
Or does this person just really need to be listened to? Just really heard.
Yeah.
From their point of view. Like, I get it.
So let's take that into perhaps you're a musician into social media. Do you get those haters coming after you a little bit in social media? Or I guess tell me what your thoughts are on social media in a business such as yours. Yeah.
The whole social media thing is funny because it's like, look, if they're making a comment, it's boosting my creations. So like I have a instructional YouTube where I'm teaching guitar stuff, talking about how to get a gig, you know, just you know, my experience with it. And one of my videos was kind of talking about the good and bad of hiring musicians and like problems I've had to deal with. And one of the comments was like, narcissistic old man complaining about, this is good. Narcissistic old man complaining about musicians like he's in high school. And I'm like, okay. Zing.
Yeah.
Like, and that's my only response to it is like, dude, thank you for the comment because you just boosted my, you know.
Appreciate that.
Or another guy, for instance, was like saying some negative stuff about Chuck Berry. I had a cover video of me playing some Chuck Berry, who
you do very well.
I love Chuck Berry, right? And he was like just saying like negative things about Chuck Berry, and the comments lit up to defend me, to defend Chuck Berry. And I'm like, and it's such a weird world where you can really see that people in the media, they don't care whether it's positive or negative. They just want a reaction from people.
Yeah.
So once you really see that clearly, you start to go like, I'm going to turn my phone off today, or I'm not watching the news because they're not out to educate. They're out to, I mean, that's where that's where the success is. Success.
Yeah.
That's where the attention is going to come from.
So earlier you mentioned a record deal, and they signed you on board to for your persona. I forget the exact words you were just saying. They sent you to classes or
okay, so I was lucky enough, this is like maybe 10 or 12 years ago, I got a record deal and a songwriting deal.
Okay.
And when we released some music to go on the radio, they put me through a little bit of like media training. Yeah, because we're gonna have to go to all these radio interviews to promote the record. And you know, so that they teach you to keep the conversation about you, about the record, you know. So for instance, one of the singles was Freedom Like This, the song Freedom Like This. Mm-hmm. And so whenever if it was near 4th of July, you're going to bring the song back talking about freedom. And the song's not even patriotic, but
it's got that one word.
Yeah. So then you're like in this space of just keeping it exciting and happening and bringing it always the conversation back to the single or whatever event the radio station's promoting that week.
Yeah. Is it fair to say you took that? So I guess where I'm going with this is the conversation we just had about social media. They're educating you to be a certain person, and did you fight that? You're like, oh, but that's not me. But I've got this deal. I got to do what they say. That had to be tough. That sort of to maintain you.
Yeah, I mean, all of it is kind of an interesting transformation where you're like, how should I put this? I'm this sensitive teenager who wants to make songs.
Yeah.
And that's all I cared about. And then then all of a sudden I like go to music school and I get this training, and then I'm using those skills to make money. But then it's like, wait, there's this fulfilling thing that I do just to like, for me.
Yeah.
But then it's like, I also need to make money at it. So like I'm trying to make money at it. And then eventually I'm like 30 years old. I get a record deal and stuff, and I'm playing these gigs and I'm being promoted and doing all this stuff. And inside I'm trying to express something. I'm trying to like find the meaning of life in a song or something. Right. And so I'm playing these gigs, and the response I'm getting from the fans is like, oh my God, you are so hot. You should do like, you're like a Luke Bryan type person. And I'm like, so it was like that dissonance there, like, and I'm not even saying anything about people that like that type of music or anything bad about Luke Bryan. I'm not even going to go to like different strokes for different folks. People, they want something, that's like telling somebody they're wrong because they want to eat McDonald's instead of filet mignon or something. Like everybody has their experience. Everybody's doing their thing. Yeah. But I was going like, wait, it was this like urge, like this need to feel gotten. And so I'm going from this place of like, I'm trying to express my soul in these songs to this industry, real industry, the mainstream song publishing industry. And I'm with my publisher, who's a great guy, very friendly, but he wanted to like give me some tough love. So I would show up to write these songs, or to show these songs that I had been writing, and he would be like, that's the worst song I ever heard in my life.
Oh man, you poured your heart and soul into
Yeah, well, of course it stung, but it forced me to look at what was going on. Most people, that whatever they're doing, they're not aware of the context they're doing it in. Yeah. And if you know what your context is, and you can change it to something you want it that is more aligned with your commitments, or you can just kind of play the game or whatever. So in some ways that made me like significantly stronger. Yeah. To start, I had the songwriting deal was like 4 years, and starting with the beginning of, I'd write a song and he'd be like, that's the worst song
But
I've ever heard.
He's running this machine.
Right. Because his context is like, I want to get this song to Blake Shelton. Okay. Blake Shelton is not going to write a song about how like his heart was broken, and there, unless it's like fits his brand, or like it's. I'm not really explaining it that well, but
no, you are. In fact, I'm curious, what did they see your brand being? More happy, energetic, or where did they want you to go?
I don't think that. I don't think that they really knew. They were concerned that like my team and my publisher, these are like very compassionate, caring people. There's like, it wasn't like I just signed to some label and they're like, we're gonna just like, we don't care about your feelings, we're gonna just turn you into this product. So there was clearly this concern that they wanted me to be me, but they maybe didn't necessarily have or maybe I just didn't hear it, the communication to be like, figure out who you are and stand by it. Because this is one thing that I learned the hard way, is that if you're going to be an artist, especially a performing artist, you're asking people to throw spears at you. You're asking people to throw rocks at you. Yeah. Because if you're going to get on stage and express something, you're going to say something, you're asking for it. And if you choose it, you'll be ready for it. Yeah. So 4 years later, I'm showing up to show some songs, and the publisher's like, that doesn't make any sense. That's a stupid song. Yeah. And I'd be like, well, you must just not get it. Yeah. And so to tell the guy that discovered Kenny Chesney and Randy Travis, to tell him like, you must not get it. You should saw his face. And we're close by then, right? He's like, he was probably like 80 at the time, and he's just like, this MF, like, dude, this guy, he just told me I don't get it.
Yeah.
I discovered I said, you must not get it, because there was 25 young women dancing to this song last night.
Yeah.
I pulled it out with the band. And so
they got it.
Yeah, they got it.
They got it.
So, and this guy, he actually passed away. We became very close friends. Charlie Monk. He would get mad for like 2 seconds. You could see the sting in his face, but he was smart enough and aware enough to realize, he'd be like, "You're right." He was aware enough to know, like, he was from a different generation. People are responding to different things.
Yeah.
Whatever's called country music changes every 10 years, 5 years.
Oh, I'd say
so. He was aware that he didn't really have all the answers.
More old school.
Yeah.
So a level of respect for each other probably occurred.
Yeah.
Out of that conversation.
Yeah. The music really bridges all differences, ages, races, whatever. I mean, because we would listen to the same song and just be like, little teardrop,
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
another song just giggling like two teenage kids, even though there was probably 50 years between us.
Yeah. I remember, this is a little, not too veering off the path, but I just remember being in a car with my mom and a song would come on the radio. I'd be like, oh yeah, this is cool, and singing along, and she'd be like, oh, you like this song? It's like, yeah. She's like, oh yeah, I had this in high school. I'm like, nah, no way you did, and it bridges years and comes back. And
man, I see it now, because in the last few years I've really gone back to the thing that really got me into playing music, like blues and rockabilly and kind of old school music, Chuck Berry is one of the first things that I was just like, this is amazing. I've kind of just really been focusing on that the last couple of years, and I will meet lots of teenagers, young people, like, man, they're like,
heard it for the first time.
Yeah, but for them, I invented it. They're like, you're a genius. I'm like, well,
can't take responsibility.
Yeah. Well, I'm just, channeling my heroes, but.
Well, and you're sharing that. You've now turned them onto something that hopefully they will go and do some research and get to know this Chuck Berry guy.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So where do you see yourself in the next few years? You want to focus more on this rockabilly lane, or?
Well, it's like anytime you label something,
Yeah.
you're kind of putting yourself in a cage.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to say that, to be like, oh, this is me or that's me.
Yeah.
But I do run into that conflict all the time, where it's like, I think if you Wikipedia me, it says like genre, country and blues, or country and rockabilly. That says those two things. Yeah. But like, I listen to Bob Marley all the time.
Yes, yeah.
I spent huge amounts of my life living in Hawaii. I grew up there, So Hawaiian music was some of the first things that I really connected with, and really just, when you're listening to something that you really dig, you just feel it. It's almost like drugs in your body.
Does that creep its way into some of the things you've written?
People tell me all the time, they're like, everything you play sounds Hawaiian, which is fun. To me, it's because I like swinging things.
Yeah.
Blues. Yeah. Old school country, all these things that swing.
Sure.
Swing music itself. But
well, on that note, can I get you to pick up?
Yes.
Your handy friend here, and give us a little bit?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah, I love that.
This one is not going to swing. It's actually more of a New Orleans vibe, but we'll try it.
Oh, I think I know which this is. Yeah. Here we go, folks.
Just turn this more towards me. Yeah. We good? Just like a dog begging at your feet, I keep coming back, looking for a treat, mama. Come on, mama. I bark mighty loud, I don't bite, I'm just a puppy dog down inside, mama. Come on, mama. Throw me a bone, a little scrap of your love, how was I to know? Well, I'm just an old dog doing what a dog does. It's cold. I had to hear on my own, a howl and a moan. Throw me a bone, I dug me a hole, made a big old mess. Now I'm all dirty, looking for a kiss, mama. I'm sorry, mama. I'm in the doghouse nearly all the time. Let me in, let's play tonight, mama. Come on, mama. Throw me a bone, a little scrap of your love. How was I to know, baby? Well, I'm just an old dog doing what a dog does. It's cold out here on my own, a howl and a moan. Throw me a bone. Well, I'm as loyal as a dog can be, and I know that I made you mad. I'm gonna be a good boy now. Let me climb up in the bed. Throw me a bone, a little scrap of your love. How was I to know, baby? Well, I'm just an old dog doing what a dog does. It's cold out here on my own, a howl and a moan. Throw me a bone, a howl and a moan. Throw me a bone.
All right, there you go. I
Yeah,
like that.
relationship song.
I tell you, I've been out there myself, so I like that. That's very cool.
Yeah.
So, what was in your songwriting process? Can you knock things out pretty quick? I guess it depends on where you are in your life, or takes a while.
Yeah. Man, it really depends on the song.
Yeah.
I can finish a chunk, really big chunk, in about 45 minutes before my brain starts to, like, if I'm focused, if I'm really, like, if I have the idea and I have it together, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a place you take yourself? Do you have a routine, meditation?
Oh, I wanted to talk about this, actually.
Yeah.
I feel like I always am trying to give advice even to people when they're not asking it. You need a space. If you're going to make art, you need a space. You need a gracious space inside, but also, I coach a lot of people, and it's like, look, if you are in a place where, you could get interrupted any second, or man, the singing thing and the music thing is huge, to where you can play and mess up.
Yeah.
It's like, I think Keith Richards' wife said it one time. She's like, you think that you're going to marry a rock star, it's going to be all like party time all the time, until Sunday morning, you've heard the same 3 notes on the guitar from the other room 60 times. So, it's about this practice, making mistakes, doing things that you're not good at yet, and having the faith, like, I'm going to keep working on it. I'm going to keep polishing it.
Yeah.
Having a space to do that without feeling like people are listening, that's going to make a huge difference, to where you, like I said, they're going to throw spirits. So you want to get to a place where you could stand by what you're doing.
Yeah.
So definitely. I did want to say that, like, oh man, if you're going to make something, make sure you have a place to do it. And for me, the routine and, like, building every day really has made a huge difference. Like,
so when you're traveling to Norway and you're teaching these kids, I read about Norwegians and way of life, and where they take themselves, and the way they look at life. A little bit different than we do here.
Oh, yeah.
And I would imagine in the songwriting realm of things, that's going to take you down a more authentic path, maybe, where you can put yourself in a place to write authentically.
Yeah. Man, there's so much I want to say about that. Let's see. Norway is an incredible place.
Yeah.
Incredible, beautiful place. I've seen a lot of incredible, beautiful places. Travel a lot, but I was lucky enough to, as a kid, become friends with this family in Norway. My mom and her husband were friends with these people that they would come out, and so I knew this one particular family before I started going out there, and I went out there just to visit them, and they're like, let's get a gig. And it just kind of snowballed from there, and then they kept booking gigs, and they allowed the band to stay at their house. So it was really like this organic, we know each other quite well type situation. And I don't know if that's just like such a unique and special situation, because if you don't have that, I don't think you're going to be able to really break into the Norwegian culture that well, because it's very community based and it's very reserved from the outside looking in, you know. But once you're in, once they know you, it's like your family, you know. So I think I've heard a lot of people be like, oh, you know, I've met some Norwegians and they were kind of cold or something like that. And they're just not going to walk up and start telling you what's going on with them and their problems. And for instance, like when we stay at my friend's house in Norway and the band and I are walking through the town.
Yeah.
From what I've heard is like we are almost clowns. We are smiling all the time. We're striking up conversations with the people at the coffee shop.
Yeah.
And that's just not something that is typical in Norway.
Yeah.
Or one time I'm walking with my friend. He's like in his 60s and he's lived in the same area for a long time. I'm walking down the street with him and this other dude is walking the other way. Yeah. And no acknowledgement of this other person walking, and we just walk. And then my friend turns to me and is like, I went to high school with that guy.
There was a connection.
Yeah.
But
I mean, why would you say hi to somebody in your house? Like you know them so well. There's no reason to even acknowledge, which is crazy to me.
The small talk.
Yeah. And so I don't know if this is universal in Norway, but I was talking to one of the students in my teen music camp. I don't know if I told you, I do this like empowerment camp for teens when I go over there.
Yeah. And
she was telling me that if she sees somebody that she knows from school in the grocery store or like a teacher, most people will turn and go the other direction. There's something about being embarrassed to see.
My thought was, what are they avoiding? If that's even their intention, or
it's just really interesting. And I think most people, when they go to, let's be real. Like most people, when they go to another culture, they're basically going like, it's different than mine, so it's wrong. Yeah. Or it's, like it's weird. But if you like really try to put yourself in that environment, most of the people that have lived in that area have been there for thousands of years. Yeah. Their kin have lived in that area for thousands of years, and there hasn't been too many outsiders, and it's just a completely different universe, and it's very community based. The teen music camp didn't happen by much effort. Yeah. My friend, basically I was going over there and I was like, look, I can't have this band just hanging out during the week. Yeah. Because there's not much going on during the weekdays. I'm not going to just like have them hanging out on your couch all week and then we have a gig or whatever. Let's get some kids in the neighborhood together. We'll just do like something, like
love it.
Teach them, do something, to bring some music to some people. And my friend, he goes, well, write down what you want to do. And I'm like, we'll do like a 3-day camp or something. Yeah. I wrote it down. He calls me back the next day. He's like, so the city government is going to fund this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like, whoa, dude, because it's such a community focused environment and culture, So the people that were in charge of like the community or like the civil government, whatever it's called, they saw an opportunity like, oh, okay, there's these musicians coming from America and they're willing to, do this coaching thing with this event. And so we did a 3.5-day camp where we just coach the kids and then we have them perform at the end. Yeah. And then we invite their friends and family, which is crazy for that. I mean, I guess people would say from our world, they would say like they're shy or like to get on stage and be extroverted is serious. I mean, teenagers are already kind of in their shell.
Yeah, sure.
But it's very weird.
Yeah.
In a good way.
Yeah, it's interesting. Because I feel like even though they may see their friend in the grocery store and kind of take another path, if the situation where it was that friend needed to call a friend, that they would step in and do anything for them.
Oh, 100%.
So it's like this dynamic.
Well, then it was like, oh, hey, we need gear. We have 3 different bands of teenagers. We need 3 drum sets. We need 3 PA systems, all these amps.
Just boom. There it was. Boom.
This guy was going to lend it. This guy's going to, no problem. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
without
phenomenal.
A question. Yeah. Super cool.
They're just kind of low key on the other stuff.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
One of the pubs in town is like, we have this whole basement area
that
we're not using. You guys can use that. Yeah. It's just, I'm grateful for that because it feels huge. Like, oh, I had this idea.
Yeah.
And it turned into this very, very powerful thing. So I think I've done 3 or 4 of them now. One year we did 2. But one of the kids, he's in his 20s now.
Yeah, now
from the first one, he's playing all the time, and he came up to me. He's like, he was like, "Thank you so much because of you," which is, I'll take the acknowledgement. But everybody, he did that. He took the opportunity and he made himself better, and he like continued to make the music.
Well, you opened that door though,
right? So he was basically
him.
he was acknowledging me, like, hey, because you started this thing, you took an action, it set me on this path.
That's outstanding.
Yeah,
everybody wins in this case.
Yeah.
He's found something he loves and continuing to do. Let's watch that kid and see what happens.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
For sure.
So how does that translate over then to your online guitar lessons that you do?
Well, it's this process of building an online academy, or music academy.
Yeah.
There's so many people that will teach you how to play the guitar.
Okay.
Like there's a bunch of different ways to get online and find a video. For me, it's this finding the way to make people really, what's the word, fulfilled by what they do. Mm-hmm. There's so many people that will sit in front of a YouTube video and noodle for 5 minutes, and they're like, oh, okay, it kind of scratches the itch, and then they go to perform for other people and it just falls apart.
Yeah.
And it's like an incredibly negative experience for them. It's one more thing in their world that told them you're not good enough, or you're not good. Like they even maybe had like a moment where they're playing alone with the video and they're like, I sound pretty good, and it feels good because the music, even if you're just noodling around, it can really lift you up. And then it's just like boom,
the hammer drops.
That wasn't good, and people, I embarrassed myself in front of all these people, and that whole internal experience can be really.
Well, it could stop someone from taking that path or avenue,
right?
When in fact they could advance and probably be pretty darn good.
Man, the music thing, because people are so emotionally wrapped up in it, can really break you down.
Yeah.
I know somebody that has had record deals. He writes songs. He makes great music, and every time I talk to him about music, the conversation veers towards what he can't do.
Yeah.
And sometimes I want to be like, dude, can you just stop talking?
Yeah,
I was talking about the song you're making. Now we're talking about like the skills you don't have. And clearly something's running him there.
Yeah, sure.
Because most people are walking around comparing themselves to other people. Yeah. And he's like, Rye is doing this and that and this and that.
Be you.
Whatever. Yeah. And so in his mind, he's like, oh, I'm talking to somebody that, like,
that's
he
what
just minimize.
He needs
to and I'm like, I thought we were talking about this cool ass song that you made. I don't care about anything that you can't do. That's the whole world of guitar too, or music training in general. It's really getting people to a place where they're enjoying what they're doing. Yeah. And so my YouTube channel for instructional is called Black Belt Musician. Yeah. And my courses are on blackbeltmusician.com. Okay. And I don't know if I've told you, I'm very into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I boxed for a long time, and then I kickboxed before that, and I'm into martial arts in general, and just like the warrior's path, finding some type of meaning there. And so I call it Black Belt Musician because I had graded courses, white belt, blue belt, to get people the fundamental skills that they need. That's another thing is like, how many times have I been at a party and they're like, hey, my nephew's so good. He plays Sweet Child of Mine perfectly. He plays the solo. Can you jam with him? And then we go to sit down, and this kid can't play. Oh, man. He could play the solo. So that's another thing that we could call it a problem in the world, or something that I wanted to address, is there's people who are doing all this playing, but every time they start a new song, it's a completely new project. So I wanted to give this foundation of musical language and how to teach yourself, so that instead of every time you go to learn something, it's like, oh, I'm putting my fingers here and here and here. Because the guitar looks like an endless number of lines and dots.
So correcting bad habits. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, you're just giving some kind of foundation or context of what music is, so that people can, as they learn a new thing, it makes everything they play better.
Yeah, I love the use of that word foundation.
Yeah.
Because you just go up from there. Yeah. So you just gave us a few of your social, your ways to get in touch with you, find out more about you. Anything else? Any other?
All my music is, you could just type in Rye Bradley into any of the online stuff, but RyeBradley.com has links to everything. All my social media is Rye Bradley Music.
Yeah.
And my, my instructional stuff, my coaching stuff is Black Belt Musician.
I think even whether you want to maybe learn how to play the guitar, I think you're offering a lot more information than just an instrument. You're doing some life lessons in there.
Well,
so for someone like me, I'm going to find it very interesting.
Okay,
cool. I'd love to learn how to play guitar. I think I'm too late in life to do that. But I think I could probably glean a lot.
Guitar is the exact thing
to
bring up how you talk to yourself. Like it's the exact way to find out how you really are in life, and that's really rough for people. So because people want to play a musical instrument, they want to play guitar. It's very emotional.
Yeah,
it's a feeling thing. It's this desire and then it's extremely physical, and so then they get defeated really quickly. And even like working one-on-one with people, or that you hear them talk about their instrument. Whatever they're saying about themselves is how they talk about themselves to themselves everywhere else in life. So you're sitting down and we're healthy, safe. We're going to sit here and we're going to play a song, and it's your first day. If I took you to gymnastics class, you wouldn't be doing some crazy move. You wouldn't even expect that for yourself.
Yeah.
So you'd be like, I'm just going to get really stretched out today and just try to learn something. But for some reason, because it's such an emotional thing and people are so inspired, the first day on guitar, this extremely physical thing with your hands, it doesn't sound so good out of the gate, and they really get crushed by it. And the thing that they say to themselves is so often exactly what they say to them. Man, I suck. Oh, I messed up again.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess this just isn't for me. I guess, or whatever that phrase is that they just keep saying to themselves.
They've convinced themselves already. Put it down and don't go back. It's just practice makes perfect. You continue that path.
Any action that you take, you can really make it mean something way bigger than that action itself. I mean, you can, the Tibetan monks, the mandalas.
Yeah. Okay.
You could do that with any action. You could do that with washing the dishes, which sometimes is really hard for me because I don't,
You just got to keep at it, right? Yeah. I have faith in you. I challenge you.
I will find inner peace with the dishes.
Yes. I'm happy to do dishes. I don't cook, so
actually, that's actually my wedding vows. I actually don't mind doing the dishes most of the time because my wife makes incredible food, and so that's kind of our deal. Is like, also I can't stand to have the dishes in the sink. I'm like, we all have these little quirk things,
Well, what I love that you laid out here is that whether it's a mental thing where you want to take yourself in growth, or your business, or guitar playing, it's just a matter of sitting down and doing it, and don't allow yourself to feel defeated the first few days, because it can just continue to grow and expand, and that's with anything we want to do.
Yeah, man. I mean, now that I have this baby in the house, it's so clear that at some point, once we start getting that internal dialogue or internal monologue, it really messes us up. Yeah. Once we start saying, I'm this or I'm that, it really puts us in these boxes. Then we just keep, putting walls around us. Like I was saying, you're going to label your music. You label, I'm an introvert, I'm an extrovert. Yeah. Once you start saying these things about yourself and you start to believe that they're true, you start limiting your possibilities of where you want to go.
Find yourself in a box you can't get out of.
Exactly. Yeah. And to you, that's just the way the world is. Because when you're 5, you don't when you're 25, you don't remember what you said about yourself when you were 5.
Yeah. Rye, there's so much. I love our conversation. I'm glad I kind of just threw my notes out the window.
Yeah, man. I mean, we always riff and have a good time, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. So you're in between Nashville and here quite often. We're gonna have you back on.
Oh yeah, I love that. Let's do it for sure.
Yeah, we definitely will. Do you mind closing us out with another song?
No, I was kind of gonna be a sad one, but I don't know. Let's do it. We'll do the sad one.
Sad's fine.
Yeah. I was at a gig the other night, and I was like, "Who's ready to get sad? If you're having a good time, put your hands in your pockets." Because like a lot of, you know what I mean? Like a lot of the great songs that touch us are "We're Alone in the Car."
Yes. Yeah, next thing you know, we're all balling.
Yeah. Haven't done this one in a while, but let's see. This one's from a while back, but I never promoted it or anything. And on Spotify, it just kept getting action. People just kept listening to it. Like, it was kind of a deep cut. So, I mean, I kind of just started playing it more because, I mean, I loved it. But apparently it was speaking to people, you know?
That's gotta make you feel good at that point because it's something you really loved, you're proud of it, and it just sort of sat there, and then all of a sudden it flourished and something that other people enjoyed. That's pretty cool. Yeah, love it. Well, here you go, folks.
She was beautiful as she light up a crowded room. When she'd sing, man, you'd swear she was singing right to you. She was an angel who couldn't see her broken wings, surrounded by strangers that she called friends who'd say yes to anything. She laid down one night with some sleeping pills and whiskey in a cup. She closed her eyes, she never woke up. Now we're trying to find the beauty in a song. Now we're trying to find the beauty in a song to save us when everything's gone wrong and take us home. He was a troubadour. All he had was his guitar. And when he'd play, well, they'd all say, yeah, he's gonna be a star. And they were right. But there's always a price for fame. It's funny how nobody really knows you when everybody knows your name. From the darkest nights to the brightest lights, every time he hit the stage, you could feel his heart breaking with every note he played. 'Cause he's trying to find the beauty in a song. Yeah, he's trying to find the beauty in a song to save his soul when everything's gone wrong and take him home. Yeah, take me home. We're all searching for some meaning, a reason to hang on. But for me, it's up here on the stage where I'm finally not alone. This is where I find the beauty in a song. This is where I find the beauty in a song to save my soul when everything's gone wrong and take me home. Hey,
I love it. You know, sad, but so beautiful at the same time. This kind of tribute to people.
It's weird, man. The music world is so weird nowadays. It used to be all about the deep cut, you know, and like really connecting with the artist and having this shared experience.
Wow.
But and I like to keep it that way, you know.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your openness today, the conversation, just you I love it.
Yeah,
Thank
man.
you
I'm
much.
so happy to be here. We always riff and have a great time.
Yeah.
So
So for anyone here in Southern California that may want to check you out, where's some of your standing gigs that you play?
that depends. Where when is this gonna come out?
Yeah, so a couple of weeks probably.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm playing this weekend. That probably will be over, but I do play at Downtown Disney a lot, which
Cool.
has been a lot of fun, and they
Yeah.
just love it when I do my old school blues rock and roll thing.
Yeah.
Which
Love
you know,
it.
I love to play the electric guitar. That's like one of my. I've been chasing that since I was 12, and so. Doing that, and then just playing around town. I play at Campus Jack's frequently in Orange County.
Yeah.
Love that place.
Yeah.
And
Well,
you know,
following his socials,
yeah.
you guys, you'll be able to keep in touch with where he's at and what he's doing.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well, once again, thank you so much, my friend.
Yeah,
and,
thanks for having me, man.
We will catch you next time.
Absolutely, thanks.
Uh-huh.